Hello and welcome, everybody, to Moonlighting Montana. Welcome back. A lot of explaining to do, I suppose. Missed a week. I'm very sorry for that. Typically, I've been pretty consistent, at least on when I don't miss a day. It just so happens that the sick bug hit the Elliott household pretty tough this year. And my little girls got really sick, and for that, I will not apologize. But that would be the reason that I wasn't able to post, and I got really busy on top of that. And so, you know what? We missed a week, but it doesn't matter because the show goes on. The show goes on, and a lot of the stuff, I still watched games. I still kept up to date, so we can talk a little bit on that stuff. I think this will be kind of the last weekend before we get into homecoming games, big turning point games for some teams coming up this weekend. And I'm going to let Jake McElroy stick to picking them, and I'm going to stick to talking about them after. One thing that I'm going to do, been in communications with Coach Speck over there at Ennis. Honestly, one of the favorite teams to win the state championship in 8-man football. Going to have a very good chat with him. I'm hoping to get him on next week. And really, ideally, what my path of work is going to look like is that I can go Class C, 8-man, possibly 6-man, because I need some insight there. Then go on to Class B, get a coach from Class B, obviously Quinn Chamberlain being one of the favorites. Then Class A, maybe talk to some East Helena coaches, and Class AA. Just trying to get a coach from every division on to really get insight into that division and what they're seeing and thinking past what I know, because I'm just a general fan, right? I feel like I do have a coach's mindset half the time, but more than anything, I'm a fan, and I like to sit back and enjoy. Lucky me, right? Starting off with this last week's action of football, we had Sentinel beating Flathead 46-0. No shocker there. The Sugar Beaters of Chinook come out and sugar beat Harlem 56-28. Fairview, who I got the scoop, is possibly at the top, if not at the top, of Class C 8-man, coming out and destroying the Poplar Indians 61-12. Then we got Stanford Geyser Denton Co-op of Stanford, Montana, beating Tri-City Titans, Hobson, Montana, 44-22. Shepherd puts a 30-point beatdown on Wolf Point, 36-6. We have Twin Bridges beating Clark County of Du Bois, Idaho, 57-19. Custer County beats East Helena 40-14, and it was a hard one to watch, folks. It was, I think the Vigilantes said they had 8 plays in the first half, 8 offensive plays. Maybe that's an over-exaggeration, 8 in the quarter, maybe in the first quarter. And the issue really was that the Miles City Cowboys really love to run the football and run it hard. They go straight at you, and when they get a quick lead on you, it's very hard to come back because they're going to control the pace of the game. You better be making the most of your possessions because you're not going to see the ball a lot. They'll take those 2-yard, 3-yard, 4-yard, 5-yard pops every play, and they don't get too pretty with it. And it's kind of what they did. And those are the tough games to lose, right? Because not only do you lose, and a loss always feels really bad, but the way you lose feels like you just got completely dominated. I remember that feeling. Just a couple of teams did that when I was playing high school football, and it is the worst feeling on earth because it's completely out of your control. Sometimes you can say, oh, it was because we couldn't catch because it was raining, or oh, it was a couple of really long plays that just kind of squeaked through. But with this, it's just like the entirety of the game. And so, painful. East Helena is going to have to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and prepare themselves, because I thought for them that would be a winnable game. And I think of all the losses they've taken, I mean, they barely lost to Fergus as bad as they lost to Custer County, and Fergus is darn good. And so I know there's more in the tank for East Helena. I know those boys, they just need to get a little bit of that dog in them, honestly. And I've seen a lot of that. A lot of teams coming out and got that pretty boy swag and not playing like they got that dog in them. not wanting to get those bumps and bruises like the tough-nosed teams do. The best teams in the state do. They have those tough-nosed kids. Then we got a barn burner at Dawson versus Havre. 21-20 Dawson wins. Dawson's pretty good, y'all. Havre's not kind of middle of the pack, but Dawson's pretty good. They're going to be a good matchup for the Vigilantes, and I think that they've hung around with just about every team, so what a perfect test, right? Kind of middle of the pack. You know they're good. I think maybe we overlooked this game a little bit, but what a good test to go out and really play hard with Dawson and know that we could be in the middle of the pack too. Ennis puts a beat down, sort of, on Sims. Coach Speck was telling me that these Sims Tigers are no joke. They're pretty good, especially in that division. They're one of the top. And Ennis had a close game with them for most of the game. Kind of came out on top, and that's what good teams do. They pull away at the end. But Ennis Mustangs are for real. Skyview beats Belgrade 35-14. Congratulations, Skyview. You did it. Take your pin. That was a tough one, I'm sure. Whitefish 20, Columbia Falls 14 in overtime. Battle in the West there. Not really sure about these two teams. Down a lot from last year. Same with the Polsons of the world. That beautiful land out in Montana. Just not reaping any rewards this year like they did last year. Billings West claims to be the king of Billings, and I assume that's probably true after that. Beat down 51-7 against Billings Senior. Hardin beats Sydney 34-33. The East is a little bit tight in the middle. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like a fat guy after Thanksgiving. A little tight in the middle. I think that Hardin doing that really opens up the door. Like, East Helena beat Hardin pretty well. I mean, it wasn't a blowout, but they made a lot of mistakes and overcame them and beat them by a touchdown. And so that's a good shout towards Sydney. Kind of seeing some Eastern Conference games come to fruition there. Valley Christian continues on its winning streak, 38-26. I think the Valley Christian Eagles are legit, y'all. They did it the right way, formed a football team not that long ago, and now are suddenly winning games. So I think they're pretty legit. Probably got a few kids around those Missoula schools that couldn't make it on the bigger teams. It is what it is, right? All I see is dubs, right? Dubs, like James Winston. You taste that dub? Okay, Bozeman 35, the Great Falls Bison 7. Fergus puts a pretty good smackdown on Lockwood, who's a great team. That might be actually Lockwood's first loss. I didn't happen to see their last game. I think it's their first loss. But if not, Lockwood's a pretty good team, and Fergus handled them pretty well. Gallatin, the Raptors of the Gallatin Valley, put a beat down on CM Russell, 54-6. Hamilton goes and takes a hold of the Bitterroot, beats Stevensville 41-7. No surprise there. Stevensville in shambles still. Colstrip 19, Roundup 0. We got Manhattan, who's pretty good this year. Look out for them in B, winning 38-14 against Glasgow. Columbus in a shootout. The ball was flying over here, it was flying over there. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a tutty? 70-12 against Sweetgrass County. The Browning Indians, the Running Indians, 32, Park 8. Park is on that slide schedule where they're not playing true varsity games, probably for good reason. You only can get slapped so many times before you start ducking your head, right? Eureka 51, Fairfield 0. We got Florence 77, Conrad 0. I'm hoping they probably suited up the middle schoolers at halftime in that one because that looks like they're running up the score. That's 11-man football right there. Golly. Arlee 16, St. Ignatius 0. Arlee looks pretty good in 8-man football, everyone. Glacier 35, Helena High 7. That is a statement by the Wolfpack. Ow, ow! Coming out and beating the Bengals. Glacier is the real deal. Not kidding. And speaking of real deals, the Vikings at Big Fork have done something unprecedented. They jumped the division, and now they're taking souls. They're snatching them. The Libby Loggers went up there and just got crushed in the woods up in Yak. 41-6. My goodness. Broadus 36, Lodgegrass 26. The Dillon Beavers beat the Frenchtown Bronx 46-14. And Frenchtown is the fires are burning around there with that football program right now. Not sure of the issue. Frenchtown has been historically a great school for football. And this year, as some years go, struggle bus is ensuing. Sealy Swan beats Sheridan 42-12. Jefferson beats Thompson Falls 42-6. Capital, I guess you could call it a statement game. Maybe that's like kicking your little brother when he's down. But 63-2 against Hellgate Knights. Hellgate they had drama. They had plays and liberal arts going on there, so they weren't really focused on that game. Three Forks 48, Anaconda 7. Manhattan Christian, the Eagles, who I heard is really good, put a beat down on what used to be a really good team in the Flint Creek Titans in Drummond, Montana. I do think Flint Creek's way down. I don't think they're the Flint Creek of old, but again, I think Manhattan Christian's pretty darn good, y'all. That's going to be some film that I have to check out. Red Lodge 40, Joliet 0. Billings Central squeaking out a dub with the smog in the air, the factory's boiling. Billings Central wins 26-21 against the Locomotives. Broadwater, Townsend whoops up on Whitehall 36-14. Shields Valley, Big Goose Egg put up on Repoint, Rappelj 46-0. Butte High continues the winning ways, but not by much, by a touchdown. Butte Bulldogs 36, Big Sky 29. Polson Pirates go out and beat the Ronan Chiefs 35-10. Corvallis, an amazing football team. Can't be said enough, y'all. I think Corvallis is legit in Class A. I think they rule the West right now. It would be interesting to see them play Hamilton, but right now Corvallis is looking very tough. Some of the stats that they're putting out. Hey, listen, you can't coach speed and strength. You could help to facilitate it in the offseason, but you can't make somebody extrinsically motivated or intrinsically motivated. You can only hope to provide enough want and need to go get what they are motivated for. And I'll tell you what, Corvallis is fast and they are strong. So now, put the coaching pieces in place, the things you can control, and now they're a good football team. Props to the Blue Devils. Shoto 58, Powell County Wardens 14, put in jail down there in Powell County. Belt 76, Rocky Boy 0. We got the Pomeroy Pirates of Pomeroy, Washington, with a sweet logo that nobody cares about because they're not Montana, beating Charlo 42-40. Huntley Project 42, Baker 28. Webo 30, Circle 28. I think Circle was the talk of the town for a while. Circle Wildcats being a real good football team, and Webo shocked the world. 8-man coaches were talking. Hey, I thought Circle was pretty good. And Webo comes out and says, hey, hold on a second. No one's talking about us. Let's make a statement, yo. And they did it. Harlowtown Rygate 56, Roy Winifred Co-op 20. Richie Lambert 26, Mondack 12. We got Custer Hysham Co-op 87. These Class C games get wild. Oh my gosh, how do you even 87? That might be the first time I've ever seen that score in football, but 87-45, I think they might have accidentally pulled that from basketball season last year. Big Sandy 38, Valier 14 in a 6-man matchup. Terry 67, Brockton 8. Darby 48, Pirates 20. Poor Victor, man. I just want them to win, man. The Pirates, they're pulling positions from all age groups. They don't have really like consistent classes of kids that play together and play the same sports. And honestly, that's such a big deal that people don't attribute it for. Teams that play the same sports together all year long, doesn't matter how God-given athletic, the God-given abilities that they have are, if they play as a team all year long in all the sports that they're playing, they are going to be successful. Those teams are more successful. They hold each other accountable. They want to win for somebody other than themselves. And they have a lot more fun doing it. It doesn't feel like such a chore or a job. That's why coaches push for these 3-sport athletes. Guys, it isn't to make these kids just work and improve these skills and abilities for their specific sport. People have it all wrong. Coaches want kids to be 3-sport athletes because if you have a group of kids that does everything together, all the sports, their classes, everything that they do, extracurricular, they care about the success of that team, that unit more. Kids that don't do that, that play one sport here, one sport there, go here, go there, and they don't have the same units, They're only worried, they don't even have the capacity to think about all those different units. They're worried about what's happening with them. It goes way beyond the skill set. It makes a huge difference for those kids to be together and work together for common goals. Teams very rarely in the state of Montana are going to be full of this one sport athletes, these specialized athletes. It just doesn't happen. And so it's something to think about as a parent, to be like, you know, I want I don't want to overwork, over push and do all that, but understand there's a reason for the teams that have these successes. They build that camaraderie, they build that unit, and they learn to be motivated by the unit success. And that's a life skill. If you work a job in the future and you're motivated by the team's success, then your success will follow regardless of the motivation for it. Remember that. Bainville 45, Plevna 0. Gardner 34, Alberton 32. West Yellowstone 44, Knoxon 28. Absaroka 44, Fromberg 12. We got Hot Springs 39, Lincoln 19. White Sulphur Springs 65, Lima 19. Loyola Sacred Heart 34, Malta 20. Power 48, Highwood 34. We got Centerville 54, Great Falls Central Catholic 19. Savage 66, Jordan, Montana 31, and then we got Box Elder 55 and Sunburst 6. That's a rundown. I even got up on my soapbox for a little bit. My legs are tired because I'm old, but I just want people to know that I want the mentality to get put across. It doesn't get put across enough, and so I want to be that outlet that kind of reframes it. Maybe it makes more sense to people. Even if that's not something you have a choice. Like sometimes I think maybe an athlete, and Victor's watching this, says, well, I can't do anything about my buddies or my teammates joining. So I mean, I just don't know. I don't get it. The motivation or the moral of the story that I'm telling, be motivated by a unit. Do not be motivated by individual success. Individual success comes by being motivated to improve that unit. It will happen. You have to think outside of your own reality for a second. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in what we're doing individually and how we're doing individually and feeling offended over certain things and not being able to move past some things that we do. Whether you're too cocky and too full of yourself, or you're too hard on yourself. As an athlete, if you have that unit in mind, it's easier to not only get over things for that unit, but also be humble in that unit's ability to win and what you do. Teams out in Montana that we live in this beautiful state that is lucky enough to not have people all over the place. And we're pretty secluded in terms of the rest of the world. But with that being said, these sports teams that I watch all year and I see, you are not in New York City, you are not in Los Angeles, and you are not playing in Texas. The one sport athletes down there are in a completely different story, and trust me, I don't think you would like that one either. But we're lucky enough to be here, so what I suggest, athletes, take advantage of the time that you are given by being motivated by a group, by a team of people. Their success means your success. Your success will come in turn. When you lift, when you train, when you practice, that's not for you. It's for the team. You play a role in that team. People forget about those roles a lot because it's so much easier to just think the starlight is on you. Remember, the lights in that stadium, if you're lucky enough to have lights, they're lighting the whole field. So you go out, they're lighting everyone up. It's not about you. Play your role. Do what you can do best to help the team, and your success will follow after. That's all I'm going to preach on today. I don't need to say any more. Get a text and bug and harass Mike Speck until I get him on my show. I'm going to text him right now when I'm done with this. So Mikey, if you're watching this, which I know you will, I'm going to be texting you. So answer me. I'm going to try to get hold of you on Monday. Try to talk to Mike about Class C. He enlightened me on a phone call not too many nights ago. Trying to get up to an Ennis Mustangs game, because when you see that flash of brilliance like the Northern Lights, y'all, trying to see the Mustangs run, baby. But that being said, I'm going to get off this thing, and I'm going to go maybe look at some film, hang out, catch up on some sleep. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching Moonlighting Montana.